The Manufacturer Podcast, a show about the latest news and trends within UK and US manufacturing, featuring the companies and individuals that make the sector great and giving our thoughts on the latest and the most interesting sector news. I'm Tom St John and I'm joined by my fellow members of the editorial team at The Manufacturer, part of 19 Group. And the cameras are on. Joe, Molly, and James.
Good morning,
folks.
Tom.
How's it
Very
going?
well, thank you. How are you?
Let's see how this goes. This may or may not be here to stay. We'll see. But you get to see our faces. Those of you watching on YouTube, those of you on Spotify. Hope you enjoy it all the same, or Apple Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. Look, let's crack straight on with today's episode. Good to be back. Apologies, I think we said, didn't we? Before the end of our digital transformation series, we might do an episode the week after. We didn't, stuff happens. But we do have a fantastic episode for you today. FightFest is coming to Smart Manufacturing Week. And you've probably seen this. Anyone that's looking over what's coming up at Smart Manufacturing Week will be aware of this, hopefully. So Accu, they're an engineering components specialist from Huddersfield, and they're going to be presenting this, essentially what is a live combat robotics tournament. So this promises to be the showpiece of this year's event. FightFest at SMW 2026 builds on a quite a long-lasting, kind of multi-year collaboration partnership between Accu and FightFest. In the summer of 2024, Accu collaborated with the team behind FightFest to bring combat robotics to Magna Science Adventure Centre. That's in South Yorkshire. Over 2,000 spectators came and watched that, and it was a roaring success. It's a 1v1 combat robotics tournament. It's essentially Robot Wars. Everyone remember Robot Wars? People must have watched Robot Wars. Maybe.
I do remember it, yes.
It did come back at one point, didn't it? But it wasn't very well marketed. I think it was BBC Two bought it back in 2016, but nobody really.
I don't remember that.
Nobody really noticed.
I just remember the original with Craig Charles.
My
from
memory
Red
of it
Dwarf.
was Craig Charles
Right.
and Jonathan Pierce commentating.
Yeah.
And Matilda and Sir Kill-A-Lot and fantastic TV. But this is essentially, it's not quite as big as the actual Robot Wars. That's not what we're seeing at Smart Manufacturing Week. We have a smaller, kind of scaled down a bit, but still it's going to be an impressive showpiece. So I actually recently went to the Accu headquarters in Huddersfield. I went to watch all of these robots being built, and I spoke to the engineers and the robot fighters Patrick Faulkner and Ellis Ware, who are behind the builds of these robots. We're going to hear Ellis in this episode. We might not actually. Keep a lookout for a longer feature on this soon, which will feature Ellis. Ed Hodges, also part of the robot design team, but he is also the director of FightFest as well, so I got to speak to him. And I spoke to Alistair Morris, the MD of Accu, as well as Matt Ogden, the Accu marketing manager, and he is the first voice you will hear in this feature.
3, 2, 1.
Accu's FightFest relationship started in 2021 from a simple product review that Ed Hodges, the now founder and director of FightFest, left on our website. So he was working on a project with a couple of friends, Andy and Adam, who were basically tasked by Sidemen, the YouTubers, to help them with their Building an Extreme Robot Wars robot project. So using our circlips, Ed and the team built 2 heavyweight robots that competed in that video, and it went on to get 7.5 million views. Ed left a product review on the Accu website. We had a chat about that, and then it turned into an article on our engineering news section. Then it turned out that at Labman Automation, where he worked as a project engineer, who are actually one of our customers, it turned out, he was basically working in the background to help create FightFest as a STEM activation tool for the guys at Labman.
It's been a really interesting partnership over the years, which has grown a lot along with FightFest and myself. As Matt mentioned, it all started from one product review many years ago. And since then, they've been involved in a lot of the projects that I've done personally. Obviously, FightFest when we took it on as our own business, and obviously we still use them at Labman for work. But if we need a bolt, we just go straight to Accu because I know I can get it tomorrow.
At the same time, our engineers basically were looking for a project that they could get their hands on and they could do a bit of team building and expertise sharing. And basically they came across the idea of doing fighting robots. I went, I know exactly the one that you should enter. And fast forward to 2022, we entered with Fortitude, a robot that our engineers built using our components and tools. And we also sponsored the event as well. So we were there as Accu, we were there as Team Accu with a fighting robot, and then it's evolved since then. We got involved again in 2023 when it was still at Labman, and then in 2024, Ben and Ed, now controlling FightFest as a limited company, approached us and said, we want to do a roboteering event for roboteers. We'd love Accu to continue supporting the project. We want to take this as a commercial event in front of spectators. We want the roboteers to get involved with it and make it feel like it's their own European featherweight fighting championship. So we took it to Magna Science Adventure Centre in Rotherham.
We had about 2,500 people paid to come and watch the robot fighting over August Bank Holiday weekend, which was great. And we got an enormous buzz out of it.
The dads and the mums remembered Robot Wars and had all that nostalgia, and the kids had that kind of feel-good factor and reminded them of BattleBots and obviously the Sidemen's YouTube video.
What we were then really keen to do was to bring it to the engineers and innovators of this world, the people that we actually engage with day to day, and how could we get this in front of them and just get people excited. Every time I talk to people about FightFest, they just get a smile on their face. They light up at the very idea of it.
The first thing is always the idea. For me, inspiration comes from either cool mechanical objects, engineering things, interesting mechanisms I want to recreate, just things I haven't seen before. I like to get my ideas out into a sort of little mind mappy, sketchy area first. I take that into CAD, I'll refine it a couple of times. I've started to try a different process where I'll just design something that looks amazing and then try and make it work, rather than I used to be very much like I'm going to make a box and put stuff on it. But from start to finish, the whole way through, it's using skills and techniques from the engineering mold all the way.
I think the first thing to consider typically is how you want to drive it, right? So it's a really underestimated part of the robot, but if you don't have a good drive system, then nothing will work on the robot. I mean, I learned this early out the doors when I got some unfortunate advice which put me way too fast on my first robot and was completely uncontrollable.
Biggest failures I think I've ever had in robotics have been my featherweight adventures. The first one, I left part of the chassis design up to a teammate, and he made it, and it was beautiful, and it was 1.5 kilos overweight, so we had to cut 2/3 of the drive power out of the robot to make it run, and so it worked. I was in the competition, didn't get knocked out from damage, and I ran the entire weekend, but it was a sad robot. And the second one was an infinitely better robot with all the drive power I could ever want, in weight, 5mm thick bulletproof armor, awesome machine. It didn't really drive very well because we had belt issues the whole weekend. It just sat and screamed and made noise and didn't do anything. The student team hit me with one attack and it broke 34 welds and put me into about 17 pieces. Couldn't fix it.
Pretty crazy thing to do to bring combat robotics to a trade show. Accu has never historically done trade shows before. We're an e-commerce business, we advertise digitally, but I really wanted to bring our brand to a wider audience, but I was really clear that I didn't want to do it in a boring way. Accu's brand is all about making engineering exciting, being innovative, being different, disrupting, being a bit crazy. So I was looking for something to bring to Smart Manufacturing Week that would really represent our brand well, that was out of this world, exciting, off the wall, different.
There's going to be young engineers there who are looking for an outlet for their expertise. Fighting robots, they're going to see things like BattleBots and obviously remember things like Robot Wars, so they'll get the opportunity to see live engineering and robotics in action. In terms of exhibition stands, I think it's fairly safe to say this is going to be one of the biggest and most dramatic, loud, exciting ones that Smart Manufacturing Week's ever seen.
FightFest was actually born as a kind of student teams trying to and train and develop and inspire the next generation of robotics engineers. We've really embraced that and doubled down on it. So we've now got our own AccuBots competition for school kids where they can 3D print their own mini robot and learn the skills of CAD, of 3D printing, assembly, but do it in a context that's just a lot of fun.
I've just come off a weekend at Smurf, which is Sanjay Mortimer Reparat Foundation, where I taught 6 of their Smurf stars how to build a small robot, and then they fought in the weekend. It's such a great place to learn engineering, design, manufacturing skills.
It doesn't feel like maths and physics homework. It's something they actually want to be doing in their spare time, but it's really training them up to be the next generation of innovative engineers, which is what we desperately need in the UK.
So many engineers will come out of university, come out of education, and they're fantastic mechanical engineers on paper, but they've actually put anything together that they have built. And there's a big difference being able to make something in the digital world and then understand why it's a bad design in the physical world. Plenty of things, like obvious things like tool clearance, or if I forgot to put a screw here or there. I really hope a young spectator will take away that they want to do this. Like, it is, the end goal is that the more people in the sport, the better. More people involved, the better. Innovation, creativity.
Get involved, right? Like, build something of your own. Nobody cares how good it is to start with. We just, we want to see more interesting and cool ideas and, end up with more people in really interesting positions. I mean, I ended up with my role at Labman because I started this society at Loughborough University.
For me, I remember watching Robot Wars when I was a kid, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. I'm going to have to do this. It took me 22 years to think, oh wait, I actually can do this. And it's been a blast ever since. There's no greater blend or intersection of art, design, and engineering than combat robotics.
More to come on the build-up to FightFest, both in video and article form, and a longer podcast episode also coming soon. Joe and Molly, where have you been recently? You've been out and about, so can you tell us where you've been? If indeed you have been anywhere. You might have just nipped off to play golf. Joe,
No,
Molly
we've been
down the pub,
over to Norfolk, and we saw a hell of a lot of dead animals. This has nothing to do with our site visits, but my Christ, there was a lot of roadkill. There's roadkill goes. There were pheasants, deer, badgers, the whole shooting match. There was a hell of a lot of roadkill where we were yesterday.
Oh man, there's pheasants, by the way. They got to be the stupid animals in the entire world. Have you ever seen a pheasant like run into the road, run out of the road, and then run back into the road?
The world's
they got
most stupidest animal, I think, the pheasant. Absolutely
thick as anything, man.
We used to hit them for a pastime when I was growing up in Somerset.
Yeah, but they're so easy to hit. Like they're so easy to hit. They got no survival instinct. I'm surprised they're still like around. Give it a couple of 100 years, I reckon they'll go extinct. They are thick as yeah.
I have a story about a pheasant. Well, pheasants. I did a corporate day clay pigeon shooting many years ago, and the guy that was our sort of instructor used to be a former gamekeeper. And when the pheasants were chicks, before they used to send them out into the forest, they used to keep them indoors at night, keep them warm. And there used to be these big sort of UV lights that used to hang sort of, 4 or 5 feet off the ground that used to keep the pheasants warm at night. And he said that when he used to go in the morning, it would be uncommon for you to get like a smell of cooking meat, because the pheasants used to fly up onto the hood of the light because it was hot and just basically slowly cook themselves. I mean, how stupid is that? But anyway, that had nothing to do with our site visits at all. It was just a bit of a side fun. No, we went to see the wrought iron bed company, and we went to see one of our last year's award winners. We went to see Delta Fire. Molly, did you want to take it away?
No, the first visit was to the wrought iron and brass
right,
bed company, I think. I think they're called that. And we met Amanda, and she talked through the company's history of about, was it 25 years or something around that? And she recently won the Made in Britain Inspiring Leader Award. So we were really interested to meet her and find out about their journey. Her sons are sort of taking over the business now slowly, but she's still there very much. And the story goes is that when her sons were younger, she was looking for a good sturdy bed for them. And she just found that everything in the shops was too light and would break and wouldn't last. So she decided to make her own. Not that she'd ever made a bed before, but decided to go ahead with that. So they set up in Norfolk, and found someone to make these beds. And then from there, they began making beds for John Lewis and slowly grew into selling their own beds themselves worldwide. But due to Brexit and stuff, some of that stopped recently. But yeah, really lovely beds. And then they also, in more recent years, have moved into mattresses. So they used to sell mattresses for other people that match the size of their beds and things like that. And now they're moving into, now they have their own mattresses with sheep's wool and local sheep. That wool is just like one of the biggest wastes because it's an animal welfare issue. So it doesn't actually affect the animal, and sheep aren't bred for wool, they're bred for meat. It's a big waste issue as well. And how in her local area, they were just shearing the sheep, essentially burning it and burying it because they had nothing to do with it. And once she found this out and she found out the properties and how it could be used, all their mattresses are stuffed with sheep's wool. So that's also a sustainability.
Yeah, they're the only mattress range that are filled entirely with pure British wool, with no synthetic blends or anything like that, which makes them, when your mattress starts to get a bit saggy, you can just have it restuffed rather than with synthetic mattresses that because of the chemicals used in them, that you can't have them. They can't be recycled or anything like that. So yeah, definitely, it's got a sustainability element to it as well. So interesting visit, and they have an interesting new neighbour near their site. Their workshop is actually on the Sandringham estate. So they have recently in the news, Royal has sort of moved in next door. So there was lots of paparazzi around. We got papped.
We got papped.
So if you see me and Molly in the sun over the next couple of days, that's
That's good stuff. Was that yesterday? You said that was yesterday.
And we also visited Delta Fire as well, who won the sustainability category last year's TMX Awards. They were sort of about an hour away near Norwich. They, for those who don't know, manufacture sort of equipment for emergency services, fire essentially. So they provide obviously fire brigades, the maritime industry with hoses and equipment and nozzles and things like that. As I say, they won our sustainability award. So we spoke to Jordan King at Delta Fire about their sustainability practices. They've had solar panels put on the roof. They're having a wind turbine installed as well. So that was an interesting story. And I got to get my hands on a big hose.
It's imaginative, it's creative and fun. The vibes were great.
I think it's been a really successful 2 days.
Smart Manufacturing Week is back, and it's bigger than ever before. For its 5th edition, this show will be flooding the NEC in Birmingham with cutting-edge thinking, smart technology and the latest hardware driving UK factory floors.
Feel that electric music festival-like atmosphere, complete with live performers and niche fringe experiences, with more food vendors than you can shake a stick at, and an actual kebab van.
From design engineering to advanced manufacturing and maintenance strategies, come and see the practical solutions powering performance, reliability and future-ready production.
The manufacturer has been at this show for 30 years and expertise in the industry is unrivaled. From us, you'll be getting some of the best show content imaginable, as well as insight and innovation from our world-class manufacturing community.
We need to showcase UK manufacturing.
How can we get technology to really benefit both, the profit and the sustainability of our businesses?
The responsibility on this sector is enormous right now.
This is the place to come to learn.
Packed with expert-led content, proper peer-to-peer engagement and kebabs, this show is not to be missed.
As part of Smart Manufacturing Week, we've got expos such as Smart Factory,
Drives and Controls,
Main Tech,
Design and Engineering,
and our high-level Executive Summit, the Manufacturing Digitalization Summit.
The editorial team will be conducting interviews all over the show floor and from the manufacturer studio, so do feel free to come over for a chat.
Last year, I literally ate 4 kebabs.
Book your stand today. Show floor space is limited, so get inquiring early to avoid disappointment.
We can't wait to see you on Wednesday the 3rd and Thursday the 4th of June at the NEC in Birmingham.
Kebabs.
All right, let's move it on and look at some headlines on themanufacturer.com. Let's have a look here then, shall we? So actually, our top story, UK's next generation of rocket engineers gather pace ahead of Artemis launch. So you can see here, Team Space Eggs from Haverford West High VC School, Welsh regional champions. You can see them pictured there. So as anticipation builds ahead of the launch of Artemis 2, that's the first crewed lunar mission in over 50 years. And hundreds of school students across the UK are already putting their own rocketry skills to the test. So go and take a look at that story. Regional finals going on at the moment. A coordinated series of regional finals held on the 31st of March. More than 240 students from Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales competing in the 2026 challenge. So that is a good story, our top story as we record this. Moving on, this is a story that Molly did for this is a magazine story, wasn't it, recently in the Q1 edition, and it's with Alexia Williams and her journey into aerospace and how she started as an apprentice engineer and was our Young Manufacturer of the Year at our TMX Awards. There she is pictured there, and that was of course in November last year. Molly sat down with her to talk about her current role, her route into the aerospace industry. So lots of interesting stuff in that article. We have more award winners here in Dennis Eagle. So their Blackpool facility won a digital award at the Red Rose Awards 2026. The team are pictured there accepting that award. It was presented at a black tie ceremony held at the Winter Gardens in Blackpool, and the award celebrated Dennis Eagle's transformation of its production and warehouse operations through a bespoke digital system designed and developed in-house. And then just another one here to pick up on. Gill Group opened its doors to the next generation of engineers, and you can see this story here. So Gill Group, for any of you that don't know, are in the innovative measurement technologies and sensor design business, and recently welcomed 3 local high school students from Brockenhurst College, James Lee, Oliver Bell and Jacob Covey, pictured here. Any other stories, guys, that you think that people should be taking a look at on the manufacturer website at the moment?
Can I just give a quick nod to my top story from North America last week? Is the news Manufacturing USA, which is like a network of manufacturing innovation institutes comprising around 3,000 member organizations, released its latest annual report week before last, or beginning of last week, which showed that the Manufacturing USA network has invested nearly $540 million in advanced manufacturing initiatives and delivered more than 900 research and development projects, according to its report. Like I already mentioned, it's a huge network organization, and there's a lot more information in the story. So I urge people interested in US manufacturing to take a look at that on the website.
Yeah, I did see that. That's a good US story. Anything, Joe and Molly? You've said plenty already, but was there anything else you wanted to add that you've seen on the website in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, just this week that manufacturer that we write about quite a bit, Sheffield Ford Marshals, they've released some aerial footage of their new development to the north of Sheffield. They are building a 30,000 square metre machining hall with a new 13,000 tonne forging line at its Brightside site. So construction of that facility is underway, and they've just released some aerial footage of the construction work from earlier this month. So that's a project that is underway, and yeah, stones have been laid and things are getting built, so all underway. So that's a story worth checking out from a real British success story.
It's Sam Kane with the Shop Floor Whisper.
It's the Shop Floor Whisper.
Hey man, how's it going? Sorry we've been away the last couple of weeks, but we've missed you. It's good to have you back. How's things in sunny Wimbledon?
It's good. I'm in Henry Anson's seat today, so I feel like the king.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I thought that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel
Is that
powerful
allowed?
today. Feels good. What he doesn't know doesn't kill him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Well, he will know now.
He's going to know now.
will
Better
know
to
now,
ask
yeah,
them
he
to
will
give
know
some
now,
permission,
yeah,
Sam.
yeah.
That is true. That is true.
Good to have you back, man. I don't have a sort of elaborate fake story for what the shop floor whisper is today. So why don't you just go straight into it? Well, what have you got to us? What have you got for us today? We're on this People and Skills series now, so I believe it's kind of themed around that this week, right?
I am disappointed, Tom. I'll be honest.
Well, look, I mean, it's hard, right? Like I've done the whisper bar. I've done you whispering into people's ears. I mean, how can you kind of at some point you run out of what you could possibly do as far as whispering and shop floors go. But we'll workshop it and we'll get back to you.
Good. Okay. So People and Skills this week. Obviously, for the last I don't know how many years now, People and Skills has been at the top of the tree in terms of problems or challenges that manufacturers have been having. There's obviously been a sort of a change or a shift in how to deal with it. So before it was all about recruitment and upskilling. In the last 2 years, it's been about digitalizing and trying to digitalize our way out of the issue. What I think we're seeing, though, is that doesn't work on its own. We can't just completely digitalize everything and expect the People and Skills issue to go away, because we still need highly skilled labor. We still need people that totally understand the processes, and when the digital side doesn't work for them, or they are in a process transitioning or something like that, they need the expertise that's been there for years and years. So I think what we really need from a sort of service provider point of view at the moment is for recruitment and training companies to get back involved again. I think 2-3 years on the trot, it's been quite difficult for those businesses. Manufacturers have pulled away and tried to digitalize, and it means that their margins have been cut a lot, basically. So we've seen quite a lot of them fall out of business, and we've seen some either moving sectors or struggling within manufacturing. But I think there is a definite sort of change coming where manufacturers are realizing that AI isn't going to solve all their problems. Even if you've got a data lake, you've got to know how to use it. You can't just have it and put it into digital processes. The proper training and getting the proper recruitment on board. I think the training part, we've got to really focus on what culture looks like within manufacturing. It's not this sort of what it has been perceived as previously, which is this sort of dirty industry, which is really long hours, night shifts all the time, going back with oil spills all over your sort of overalls. It's not like that anymore. Hasn't been like that for years. It's about sort of what we essentially need to do is get young talent, engineers, people that realistically the financial sector, the law sector are poaching consistently because it looks nicer on the surface, to go into manufacturing and realize actually if you are that sort of sciencey background, you do love also working with your hands. There is a huge amount of opportunity within manufacturing. There is proper careers in manufacturing, and the money always does follow. So it's getting that training and getting that talent in. Recruitment and training providers are a big part of that. I think, as I said, the narrative problem of what manufacturing is and has been previously needs to be changed massively.
Yeah, massive problem.
And yeah, the culture problem is massive. I think that there has been, over the God knows how many years, manufacturers have focused on production and process and how they can get as much product out as quick as possible. And they haven't focused on what's actually happening in their business, how people feel, what the floor staff are feeling when they're having to do night shift after night shift, if they are having to do that, the toll on mental health if managers aren't sort of dealing with you in the right way, things like that.
Yeah.
So being able to implement what I would probably call a sort of 21st century strategy of bringing culture into the workplace and not just focusing on product. But that is a massive gap for these training providers. How do you train managers to be at the right level? How do they understand sort of emotional intelligence and things like that you need to have in a workplace? That was a massive rant, but that's essentially it for this week, really.
No, yeah, it's all good stuff. Yeah, I think the image thing. I think I often say it is possibly the single or one of the, let's say, biggest problems that is holding the industry back. That image problem. In terms of creating kind of workplaces that are more modern, I think we're seeing kind of more of that. I think if you hear people talk about in the last kind of 10 years, we've had like, it sounds very simple, but like the return of the canteen, right? Where people can just like have a space to sit and talk in the morning or at lunch. They were kind of seen as a bit of a cost center sort of like 10 or so years ago. They kind of seem to be returning a little bit. We've seen like on-site gyms and stuff, and like multi-faith prayer rooms as well was one interesting thing from a company we visited in Birmingham a couple of years ago. So we're kind of seeing a little bit of a sort of move back towards, as you put it, sort of modern day workplaces. Just as far as kind of our offering goes, Sam, I mean, are there sort of, recruitment agencies and those sorts of companies that are interested at the moment in the manufacturing sector and are looking to get their message out there and are looking to work with companies on this sort of stuff?
100%. There's loads of them out there, and I think even if they have started to re-verticalize and focus on other areas, they will 100% be back. A lot of these recruitment agencies, they started within manufacturing, so they might have done an engineering degree and gone into manufacturing and decided that actually recruitment's where their passions lie. So they have a real sort of passion for manufacturing and doing the right thing by manufacturing. There are a huge amount of companies that are looking at it and looking to help, as opposed to just do this sort of business thing and making money from it. It is actually about pushing the industry forward. And then training providers as well are very much looking to get involved. There are, I'm not going to name names because it'd be unfair, but there are a good few that are really looking to get out there at the moment and push the industry forward.
Made by a moron, anyone? Made by a moron.
I think Molly has this covered this week.
I was hoping you
I'll
would
just
have
say
something,
one,
James. Yeah, but
well, no, I was going to say we bought a donut maker,
but it just
works, it was okay.
Right?
Yeah, it was all right. I know, it was our son's first birthday on Sunday, and we used said donut maker, and yeah, we had donuts, and they were actually okay. So I was hoping to come with a horror story, but I feel like I've disappointed everyone now.
That's I feel a bit disappointed, to be quite honest, that donut maker is working absolutely fine.
I will try harder.
So Molly has a story.
Molly has a story. Go on then, Molly. Go on. Cheer me up a bit.
So on Friday, self and Joe were supposed to visit British Hovercraft in Dover. So right around the corner from Joe. So I got up, got dressed. I got on a bus an hour to Stratford from where I live to pick up my train. And luckily, I was a little bit early, so I got coffee and I was just waiting at the station. And I just brushed my hand, past my back area and realised that my jeans had ripped at the seam.
That is, yeah.
And I wasn't sure they'd make it in one piece to Dover, so I had to frantically call Joe and text Joe to prove I was actually at the station. I'd made my journey halfway, but
I did believe you, by the way. You didn't have to send photographic evidence of the fact that you were at Stratford.
It just seems like the most awful excuse. So, yeah. And then I had to tie my cardigan around my waist and get the bus an hour home.
I take it the said jeans were unsalvageable.
Yes, they're in the bin.
Oh,
yeah,
man, that's a shame.
So 40 jeans then. 40 jeans are going into Made by a Moron this
40
week.
jeans, yeah. Are we going to name and shame the
No, they were old. They had their time. It's probably, I'm not going to blame the brand. I'll blame myself.
Okay, yeah.
Well, Molly had my sympathy because the self-same thing has happened to me before.
I mean, I've had, was this like a full rip or just like a bit of a, like you say, were they like,
you could see my skin. You needed
right. Yeah. I mean, that's
without going into too much detail.
You can see skin. Yeah, you can see skin.
You can see skin.
Wait, was this on the way? Sorry, or on?
Yeah. So I'd done the first part of my journey, and then I was waiting for my train to Dover, and I sort of realised, but I'm not sure at what point they had ripped. But maybe when I put them on,
as I said to Molly, it could have been a hell of a lot worse, right? Because she noticed at Stratford. She could have noticed at Dover.
Yeah. That would have been worse.
Which I don't know what we'd have done then. I think I'd have had to have taken Molly shopping or something.
So are we not blaming the genes then? Because they were old.
Well,
are you a moron?
I don't know.
It's me. It's
something.
definitely
Are
me,
you
I
a
would say.
moron? You're a okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll take it.
I don't like to do that, but sometimes we do have to be fair, don't we?
Yeah. No, I agree. It's not the genes. It's me.
This week's Made by a Moron, ladies and gentlemen, Molly Cooper. All right. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
All right. That's it for another week. Thanks, and folks. Thank you, listener, for joining us. Oh, and enjoy your Easter. Have plenty of chocolate as Jesus intended. We will not see you next week because I am off. A few of us are off. But we'll hopefully see you the week after. So until then, take care. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.